a blinding light pulled a man out of unconsciousness. He stood up and found himself inside a large cube-like room. The room had 6 doors, with one on each of the 4 walls, the ceiling, and the floor. The man, surprised, opened each door one by one and saw that each room was the same, with 6 doors in each. He entered one of the rooms and had barely taken a few steps when suddenly he was shocked, and his body was torn into pieces by a thin wire mesh trap. In another room, a man lay unconscious. Then another man entered through a lower door, followed by a woman and a girl, both so terrified that the girl's glasses fell and broke. The man tried to calm the terrified girl when suddenly an old man entered through an upper door. Meanwhile, the unconscious man had regained consciousness, and soon 5 people were gathered in that room, all strangers to each other. They were all dressed in similar clothes with their names written on them. Among them were Quentin Holloway, Levin Worth, and Ran Rain. As soon as they arrived, Rain removed his shoe, tied the laces, and threw it into a room. Within seconds, heating tubes emerged from all sides of the room, roasting the shoe in midair. This made them realize they had fallen into a labyrinth with dangerous traps in various rooms, activated by sensors. This realization made everyone uneasy. Quentin, trying to calm everyone down, said, "If we are going to escape, we must work as a team. Does anyone know how we got here?" Holloway replied, "I was having dinner at home, but I don't know how I ended up here when I woke up." Levin said, "I was sleeping in my bed, but when I woke up, I found myself here." Quentin then asked Worth, but Worth responded coldly, "I don't remember anything. My eyes opened and I was here." At this, Rain said, "We're wasting time with these questions. We'll never escape this way. We should find the safe rooms and keep moving. Once we reach the end of the rooms, we can figure out what to do next." Everyone else agreed with Rain's approach, but Worth told them to forget about leaving, saying it was impossible. Rain cut him off, saying, "I know it won't be easy, but I believe someone is watching us from outside and wants us to try to escape." Levin was horrified by these words. Quentin reassured her, "Don't worry, I'm a cop. I'll get all of you out of here no matter what." After that, Quentin and the others prepared to move forward. Rain threw his shoe into a room, and since there was no trap, they moved forward, using the shoes to identify safe rooms. As they progressed, they heard loud, mechanical noises, growing louder with every step. Levin noticed that there were 3-digit numbers written on every door. Holloway suggested these could be room numbers. Worth disagreed, saying that if they were room numbers, there would be millions of rooms, and it would take days to reach the end. Holloway grew anxious, saying, "I'm a doctor, and based on my experience, we can't survive more than 3 days without food and water. The heat here is so intense that we'll soon dehydrate." Rain took a button off Holloway's shirt and said, "Keep sucking on this. It'll keep your mouth moist." Though it was a strange solution, everyone followed his advice. They continued their journey. Soon, Rain realized that one of the rooms had dry air, which indicated a chemical sensor trap. He explained that exposure to dry air would trigger the sensor and activate the trap. The others were amazed at how Rain knew about such sensors. Quentin recalled that Rain was a famous escape artist who had broken out of 7 major prisons. They continued forward, avoiding the traps with Rain's expertise. Quentin and Levin began to develop a mutual admiration. They were flirting playfully as they moved ahead. Eventually, they reached a room where all the doors had prime numbers, but when Quentin opened the ceiling door, a mentally handicapped boy named Keegan fell from above, screaming and banging his head against the wall in fear. They tried to calm him, and they continued their journey, confident that they would soon escape. They found a door with no prime numbers, signaling it was safe. But as Quentin entered, he was caught in a trap with rotating steel wires. He barely escaped, but injured his foot in the process. Suspecting Worth, Quentin confronted him, but Worth revealed that he had designed the outer shell of the cube. Worth explained that the cube was part of a large outer shell, resembling a Rubik's Cube suspended inside a box. Holloway, curious, asked him more, but Worth admitted he had been hired by unknown individuals to design the shell without asking questions, only for the job's good pay. They learned that the cube had a total of 17,576 rooms. Levin used the coordinates on the doors to map their location, and determined that the last room would be just 7 rooms away. However, when they reached the final stretch, the last few rooms were all traps, and the group had to find a way to pass them silently. Kijin, in a fit of madness, started screaming, activating the traps and putting everyone in danger. Quentin decided Kijin could not be taken along, but Holloway and Worth refused to leave him behind. As they navigated the traps, Quentin's anger flared, and he lashed out at Holloway, leading to an argument. They eventually reached the last room, but to their horror, there was no way out. The outer shell and the cube were separated by a vast gap, and their hopes seemed crushed. But Quentin suggested they could tie their clothes into a rope to reach the outer shell. Levin pointed out that only a light person could manage such a task. Holloway volunteered, and they sent her down. But just as Holloway was about to reach the outer shell, a heavy machine noise shook the room, and the rope slipped from their hands. Quentin leapt to save Holloway, and for a moment, he considered taking revenge for his earlier humiliation. But instead, he let go of her hand, causing her to fall into the abyss. Everyone was devastated, but Quentin lied, claiming the rope had slipped. As they moved forward, Quentin's suspicion of Worth grew. Worth finally revealed that the cube and its outer shell were part of a larger design, and the truth about their situation was beginning to emerge.